project update. As you can see, I have a single car garage with this toolbox, and that's a spot for the motorcycle. So very hard to get stuff done since I can only work on one side of the vehicle at a time, which is making it take extremely long. I have to get a person over to help me back the chassis out, turn it around, push it back in. But I'm still working on it. One thing I will give advice to anybody who's going to plan on doing this is, first thing you do is, once you get the old body off, is, if you're going to do what I did and move the engine transmission back, do that first. Then, as you can see here and here, I have nice access to the exhaust, so do the exhaust second. Why do I say this? Well, I had to use extra frame rails, so it's as wide as the tires are. Stock tires, 205s, 75/15s. Well, it's not fun crawling from here to here just to get to here. And then those cross tubes here, I would do those pretty much last because they hinder your access to the middle of the car. So yeah, I would do that differently. The rear suspension is done. I just got to put some lower coils in the front. When you see an overall picture, it looks very tall. Quick walk around, get it outside. But when I measure from the height of the roll bar to the bottom of the frame rails here, is actually shorter than that same measurement on that car, and that's a 2000 Passat wagon. And I've checked against my Jimmy, same measurements from the top down, so it just looks weird because this was always a narrow chassis, and especially without the body on it. But the width from here to there is actually narrower than every car I own. 2005 Jetta, 2000 Passat, and a 97 Audi A4. The bends there and for the A-pillar and stuff were all based off the stock Chevy Blazer, aka GMC Jimmy. I just moved it back 14 inches. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'll have a bunch of videos to upload. Took me a while to do those because I don't always work on the same thing day after day after day. I get bored and go somewhere else, which is why the clutch pedal box, the Firewall, used to be there. I took it out to get access to do the exhaust. So that's where I'm at. I'm continuing to plug along. Haven't got anything done with the floor pan yet. Been working on the Firewall. So today we're working on the middle Firewall. That section that goes over to the tranny. There's the piece. I already got it set up so that it comes off there, it comes out 90 degrees, goes straight across to the middle there. You can see a little mark right there. I'm going to bend it there. Middle of that tube down to the other tube right there. That's a 70-degree angle. Now, I have a Harbor Freight bender, but it doesn't do so good on this thicker stuff. So I've been bending over the frame rail, but you don't get a very tight radius when you do that. I want a little bit tighter. So I have these pieces of angle. This is just a single piece of angle, and it can just goes right over top there, give me a nice crease spin. What I use for sheet metal is this one. You stick the sheet metal between those two angles are welded on either end, and you just clamp it and you get a really good bend. You don't have the lever to pull a die, but you're just pushing the metal down. I'm going to try that first, and if it won't go in the middle of that, then I'll just put that angle on the frame rail right there, clamp it down, and then where that line is, I just need a 70-degree bend. And yeah, I'll show you a picture after I get it set up, whichever one I'm going to use, and then what it looks like. Back in a minute. That piece didn't work, so I just stuck the other angle right here. I got a spare section of 2x4 tube. I clamped it down with these big tall clamps. I got this gauge, and I'm just going to bend that and push it down until I get to 70 degrees. Got my piece bent. It bends under there, follows this tube right there. As you can see, it's not straight, so that should give me a lip, or I could bend me like a 3/4 inch lip down that way, and then put in some weld nuts, and that way I can bolt that to the driver's side firewall that's welded on. Because if you ever bolt the transmission out again, removing that section of the firewall to make getting those bolts at right there, you got at least 4 inches. Shouldn't be an issue. But yeah, it will make it easier. So yeah, I don't know. That's probably off. You got about 4.5 there, and about 3 5/8 there. So yeah, it does need to come forward a little bit. So yep, I'll just bend that flange down there. Won't be fun because it's short. Definitely not GM sheet metal thin. This metal's probably half again as thick as the OE firewall, and then that piece there is even thicker. That's double the factory thickness, so this will be plenty strong enough to support the clutch pedal linkage and all that stuff. Every step you do, this is a step closer to being done. God, I can't wait to get this done. I already got my front part bent pretty close. Got a little wiring harness I have to deal with down there. I won't know though until I get the whole wiring harness pulled through. Originally, the wiring harness would have came through on this side to the left of the clutch pedal, but I got so much excess material. There's so much excess material in the wiring harness that I'm putting the fuse box in that location for simple access, but I've never had any problems with the fuses and the fuse box in this truck, so it's just more or less going there to get it not there, because I don't plan on sealing anything over there, so the tire spray will get it, so it won't right there. So yeah, that piece is done other than drilling some holes. Once I get the driver's firewall back in, as you can see, my hand's 4.5 inches wide, so there's plenty of space for the gas pedal. especially when you consider that'll be about right there. Almost got them to the same height. That's enough for tonight. Worked on the pedal firewall to the center firewall. Got my pointer. So this piece here, up through here, and over, I'd cut out. Took it off, so I had to put it back in the exact same space I took it out. So what I did was, I put a bolt there, 2, 3, and 4. Wasn't going to do this one, but I had a big gap I had to close up. Once this is all done and said and finished, everywhere there where they bolt together, I got some, it's 3M strip caulk or something like that. I'll get a picture of it later. But that's what I worked on tonight. I also cut this down so it's level, more level. I kept, there's a sharp edge right here. Right in there. I kept hitting when I was working, so I got tired of it poking me in the belly. So, also cut me a piece to go there. Haven't decided if I'm going to weld it to the middle firewall here and then bolt through it. Obviously, I have to put a reinforcement from here to here, right down there, and then weld it here, and the short piece welded there to there. Or if I just bolt it to this and leave it like that, it'll probably end up getting welded. But I'm done. I'm cold. It's 19 degrees outside. I'm in my car garage. No heat today. So that's where I stand. The top one, since I can get to the bolt, I put it on this side because it's practically buried underneath, and the rest of them, there's a weld nut I used. Now I'm ready to put this big old piece back in. It goes to the floor where that needle scaler is, up there, and down, and it covers that area. But I think I'll just put the steering wheel back in first, get it where I wanted it, and then I think I'm going to start on the wiring harness. I've already stripped in the interior harness down that goes around the dash. Did that a couple weeks ago. So yeah, give me something to do in cold weather. And then there's a bunch of mess of wiring harnesses all over the motor. I'll need to pull that back, and this down there, all over there. That's all wiring harness. I need to come up where I'm going to put the fuse box. I want to go in the middle there, but I'm not sure. Then I got power steering pump to do, which is right there. If you can see the main line, it comes out this way. Won't work where the engine is, but I think if I loosen the line, I can rotate the fitting around and make it lucky. And I got the shock on the passenger side to put back on. So yeah, you can see how that line curls up. The return line is not a big issue. It's just a soft line. Just have to make sure you use one that's compatible with power steering fluid. I ordered anti-sway bar mounts. Those I had to cut off. They were junk anyway. I'll probably have to cut them shorter since the front end is now. The front end is now 1.5 inches lower A-arm. So I'll probably need to cut those about 1.5 inches shorter. Make sure the anti-sway bar is somewhat level. So working on the firewall today, driver's side. This tube goes exactly where it is. So mirror the other side, and that little down tube there is this piece right here. But if you look, I'm not going to get it there. Even bending the lines, the brake lines, ain't going to help. So yeah, I tapered that in so it would fit against the bar right there. I added that piece right there today. So now that side's pretty much down as far as I need it. I have to make a piece to go here when I do the tunnel. Yeah, all that stuff from that seam down I removed a month ago to make it easier to do the exhaust. What a time saver. Couldn't have got in there otherwise. Got the steering wheel back in. Had to add that plate right there as the hole's too dang big. I mocked it off the stock GM hole. It wasn't even close. As you can see, I still got gas to fill on the top and the bottom. But yep, that's where I am on the Firewall. Pretty much now I've just got to bring the wiring in and see where I'm going to end up with the fuse box. Factory was about right there. I am hoping to get the fuse box on that piece right there somewhere. Between here and up there. If not there, would be really, really nice. As you can see, that's that piece. One of those I want to put on. Got plenty of room to the engine. I can always move that piece that direction if I need to. I just guessed. I don't know about you, but I couldn't resist putting the hood back on. I just set it on there. It's a little lower than stock in the front. Maybe about an inch. Right there and there. But I like that. Yes, it definitely was originally farther forward by a lot. I'd say about a foot and a half. The blue tape is pretty much even with the outside of the frame rail. Right there and there. So I'm definitely cutting the hood to that shape, whether it's going to be there where it currently is, or where's my finger? Out here, even with the grill, or leave it like it is. Go to the grill, cut there and there to remove the Chevy emblem, make people guess.